For about 10 years, we've had very strong correlational data showing that, for example, when you eat poorly, your risk of depression and illnesses like depression just go up 70–80%. And when you eat a more traditional diet, like a Mediterranean diet or a Japanese diet, your risk of an illness like depression can go down by as much as 50%. So that's now led to the first clinical trial that is just being reported, showing that a Mediterranean diet augmented with some red meat actually can treat clinical depression, major depressive disorder. And it's a very exciting moment for nutritional psychiatry. It's a time when we have more science that tells us food should really be part of the conversation when it comes to our mental health. We are facing an incredible mental health epidemic. I've been in New York as a psychiatrist now for 16 years. And the amount of distress and the amount of mortality that we're seeing is just like levels we've never seen before. And it's we need as many tools in our toolbox, and food is very much there, both from just common sense, right? We all know that to feel right, we need to eat right, but then also backed up by now an incredible amount of science showing that a core set of nutrients actually have very clear data. They can help in the prevention and the treatment of illnesses, again, like depression and dementia. So we want to encourage people to eat those foods that have the most of these nutrients, and then help them do that as really part of a mental health care plan. We think about a lot of illnesses when we eat: heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and it's always struck me that really the illness you should be worried about, or the organ you should be worried about when you're eating, is your brain. Because that is by far your biggest asset. It consumes more of your energy in your food than any other organ you have. And so focusing on the nutrients your brain needs guides you to a slightly different set of foods than if you focus on just things like calories or saturated fat or preventing something like cancer. And so it's an exciting moment as the data begins to catch up with common sense. The diets that seem to do the best in terms of brain health are traditional diets. So for example, the most science is about the Mediterranean diet. Mediterranean diet is a plant-based diet. You're going to see lots and lots of nuts and seeds, whole grains. You're going to see seafood. You're going to see meat and dairy treated differently. I mean, it's interesting that all Mediterranean diets, Greek yogurt, for example, right? They have some dairy and fermented dairy products and meat, but they're used more as flavorings. You don't see what we see in a Western diet of a giant steak and a baked potato. Yeah, you see a lot more spices in the Mediterranean diet and fresh herbs. These are very, very powerful medicines that have always been used to treat human illness. And so one of my favorite interventions is helping people do like even a little herb pot on their fire escape or in their front yard. Because you can just walk out in the morning, grab some chives, grab some basil, chop it up, have it with your scrambled eggs. You've just increased the nutrient density of that meal, and you've made it a little bit more like the Mediterranean diet. So what you're going to see is in the Mediterranean diet, it's mainly monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. You're going to see, again, a lot of crunchy vegetables, a lot of rainbows on those plates, and lots of seafood. I mean, that's really one of the main differences if you look at a Spanish diet, right? All those tapas with little anchovies and a little bit of squid and a little bit of octopus, right? Where we're getting these very, very nutrient-dense seafoods that, again, we know have these molecules that are so important for brain health.